Next, we have Haleh Yazdi from psychology with the talk, Why Can't We All Be Friends? Complexities of Childhood Prejudice.
When I was 3 years old, my family moved to a rural city in the South called Commerce, Texas. And it didn't take long for me to realize that my Iranian family didn't exactly blend in with the other families there. This is because early in life, children recognize similarities and differences between themselves and others on a variety of traits, like gender and skin tone, and they use this information to categorize people into preferred in-groups and disliked outgroups. This process over time can lead to discrimination against outgroup members, which is something that my family experienced. Now, a popular theory in psychology is that children operate on the belief that what's similar to me is good and what's different from me is bad. But almost all of the research in this area comes from Western societies, leaving it unknown whether children across the globe develop prejudice in this way. My research takes a more global perspective towards studying childhood prejudice. Take Iran, for instance. Iranian children know that they're very different from Americans and that their country has ongoing tensions with the US. But they also know that the US has high status globally. So how might these children weigh similarity against other factors when deciding who they like? To answer this question, I asked children in Iran how much they wanted to be friends with members of 4 different groups. Iranian children from their own school, so their in-group, Iranian children from a different school, an outgroup that differed on one dimension, Arab children, a group who's very similar to them with regards to language, religion, and proximity, but one that they've historically had conflict with, and American children, a group who they're very different from, have current political conflict with, but a group that has high status globally. What I found was that Iranian children expressed the most desire to be friends with American children. In fact, so much so that they rated them more favorably than their own group. Surprisingly, children also express the desire to trust and be loyal to Americans. On the other hand, Iranian children express the least desire to be friends with Arab children, a group who they perceived as having low status. My findings show that children will in fact welcome friendship with a group who is very different from their own. But it's our responsibility as adults to encourage these friendships and to first teach children that all groups have equal status. Once we do this, we can eliminate prejudice early in life and promote better, more peaceful relations in our country and across borders. My research brings us one step closer to a world where we see one another as equals. Thank you.
That's fantastic. So great listening to your talk. Thanks for sharing your research. I'm wondering if you might tell us something most people don't know about you.
So this is something that I don't share with a lot of people, but I do like adventure. I like to surf, I like to box, I like to travel alone. But the one thing I will not do is I don't want to ride a bike on a busy street. And this takes everyone by surprise because I will not do it. So I had put NA for that question.
You know, actually, I don't blame you. I used to ride a bike on busy streets in another city I used to live on, and now I'm terrified of the idea. So good call. I'm wondering if you could maybe tell us what's on your bucket list.
So one thing I do hope to eventually do is learn how to successfully grow grapes and make wine. I feel like once I learn how to make my own wine, then I can be the person who writes the tasting notes on the back of wine bottles. And I feel like that would be such a creative side job. In general, I just want to learn how to grow any plant to fruition. And I thought I would get better at that during quarantine, but I still have not been very successful. And I have a lot of sticks without leaves on them at this point.
I really love that. I've always thought it'd be fun to smash the grapes with my bare feet. It sounds something would be really, really fun to do. So tell us, what is your favorite way to recharge your batteries? You're obviously a very busy researcher.
So I really do enjoy traveling. I haven't been able to do it much in the last year, but it is my favorite way to step back from my research and gain different perspectives. I like to go to a country and actually spend a lot of time in one country. And it's usually how I come across the questions that I decide to pursue for my PhD. I've been very lucky to be able to travel for my research. I do a lot of cross-cultural work in other countries. And so it's always nice to have those fresh perspectives and come across questions for later on.
Well, certainly in all your travels, you've met a lot of people. Is there anybody who stands out as having an impact on your life that you'd like to mention?
So one person who's really played a pivotal role in my PhD research and just my life in general is my grandmother. She lives in Iran and she's lived through war and revolution and lots of disruption. And she still remains very compassionate and cares for a lot of social issues there. And she introduced me to a lot of those issues. And that has really driven a lot of the work that I do now. And she is such a force there. She is the reason I was able to do research in Iran, which is not an easy thing to do. So I fully have to credit her and how prominent she is in the community there for all of this. And she does help me come up with new research questions by telling me about the issues there.
She sounds truly inspiring, and I'm so glad we have her to thank for so much of what you're accomplishing. So shout out to her. Hey, listen, congratulations on how far you've gotten in the competition. Great research, and it's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you so much.